Hey, so we're going to make ciabatta, as I said I was going to do. This is, to be honest, this is my favourite type of bread. It's absolutely magnificent and quite easy to do too. A little bit time consuming, but I'll walk you through it. So the first step to a ciabatta is to make a poolish. What is a poolish, I hear you ask? A poolish is basically the backbone of your ciabatta. So this needs to be made the day prior, alright? So all you're going to do is take a bowl and put in 200 mils of warm water, 7 grams of yeast, and 200 grams of flour into a bowl. And you're just going to mix that up with a fork just to make a smooth paste. This is not a dough, this is, as I said, this is your poolish. Mix it up to make a smooth paste, leave it sit for about an hour and let it rise up a little bit. Then you're going to put it in the fridge covered overnight, alright? So that's your poolish. And then the next day, you're going to pull it out and it should look something like this. So that's been in the fridge all overnight. You can see it's got lots of nice bubbles and stuff in there. And this is the base of your ciabatta. So you don't need to add any more yeast. This is going to act as your proving agent, all right? So now we're going to go and make the dough. So you've done your poolish the day before. We've got that ready. Now to make the actual ciabatta dough. All right, so to make the dough, we're going to start off with 350 grams of flour. We're going to go ahead and add our poolish that we made the day before into our dough. Just scrape it out like so. You can see that's like so. We put that in. Then we're going to go and add 240 mils of warm water. There we go. 240 mils of warm water. And then we're going to mix this as it is, just to combine it together and start the mixing process. Excuse the state of the dough hook. Let me just move that stuff out of the way. Alright, so we're just going to start this off on slow. Now the reason we mix these two together just to start with is to get that poolish activated. We don't want to hit that with salt yet, because salt, as I've said in the past, salt retards your yeast. So we want to get that yeast, that poolish developed and start to move before we hit it with the salt. The salt's going to condition your dough. You need your salt in there, but we're not going to put it in just yet. Now keep in mind, this dough, ciabatta, is a very, very wet dough. It's about 90% hydration, so don't be disheartened if you look at it and go, geez, it looks like a sloppy mess. That's fine, that's what it's supposed to look like. It is very, very wet dough. Ciabatta, what we want is big holes in the dough. I'm sure you've had ciabatta before, but that's what we're after. So now, as you can see, come in here and have a look at this. We've started to combine that together. Alright, if your poolish part of your dough starts climbing up your dough hook, just knock it back down in. So we just want to get this combined, just to get that poolish start to activate with the water and mix through with the flour. Once we get to this stage, so we've just mixed it for probably a minute, maybe 2 minutes on slow. Then we're going to stop it. Then we're going to go in with our salt. So we've got 5 grams of salt here. We're going to chuck in here. And then we're going to start to mix the dough properly. So we've got it combined. Now we're going to crank it up. Now what we're looking for is the dough to start to pull away from the edges of the bowl, as you can see it's starting to do now. So we're probably going to mix this for about, I'd estimate about 2 to 3 minutes on fast. And then we've got one more ingredient to add to finish it off. See how that's starting to pull away from the bowl there? I'm happy with that. So let me just mix this for 2 more minutes and we'll come back and I'll show you the next part. Right, welcome back. So come in here and I'll show you this. See how that's pulling away from the bowl quite nicely? That's about 2 minutes on fast, alright? Don't be too stressed about the window test like we've done with other doughs. It doesn't matter if this is not fully developed, because I'll show you the development process later. Excuse me. Right, so the last step, oil. Good oil, use some good oil, because ciabatta it's well known for being, you use good oil in ciabatta and use a bit of it. So go with your olive oil, preferably. We're going to go in here with 15 mils. Make sure you leave this till the end, because it's going to affect the way your dough kicks. Just go on slow to start with, just for obvious reasons, otherwise you're going to spit oil everywhere. Just let it pick up that oil a little bit, and then we can slowly crank her up. Now we're going to go another 2 minutes on fast, and then I'll show you the next step, alright? So Get it, take that oil in. Alright, here we are, 2 minutes after we've added the oil. Alright, so as I said, don't be disheartened if you think, geez, this is a sticky mess. That is ciabatta. Ciabatta is wet. Alright, we're going to take him out of the bowl. Now, as I mentioned, you don't need to get your full window. You can see that it is starting to get developed, so you're starting to get a bit of a thin window there, but it's not quite there yet. But that's okay, because we've got a few more steps to go before we finish. So take your mixing bowl again, hit it with some cooking spray, give it a good coat because we want it to come out easy later. Then we're just going to take our dough and plonk him back in there. Now we're going to let this rest. So this is the next part of development. Ciabatta takes quite a bit of rest time. We're going to let this rest for 45 minutes. So cover it, use a tea towel, preferably a clean one. 45 minutes rest, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what to do next. Alright, so it's been 45 minutes. Come in here, I'll show you this. It's had a bit of a rest there, it's risen up a bit. So now we're going to do our first fold. So I've got a bowl of water here. Wet your hands, this makes it a bit easier. Now we're going to just get underneath him, fold the middle in, turn, fold the middle in, turn, fold the middle in again, and one more time, and then fold that middle in again. Right, so that's our first fold. So now we're going to let this sit for another 45 minutes, and then we're going to repeat the process. All right, so we'll come back in 45 minutes, it should have proved up again. All right, here we are again. So we're going to repeat the process. Over to our water, wet our hands a bit, and again, underneath, fold in, underneath, fold in. This is giving your dough structure. So then you can even pick him up and turn him over. There we go, so that's the last fold. So now we're going to let it rest one more time for 45 minutes, and then I'll come back and show you what to do next. All right, welcome back. So we've done our last fold, another 45 minutes rest. Next step, flour your bench pretty generously at this stage. Don't stress about putting too much flour because this is a very sticky dough. Now just hold your bowl up. Now hopefully, because we've sprayed it, that should just plop out like so. Now, the key at the moment is to keep as much of this gas inside as possible. We're going to use the backs, or the bottom of the tray rather. Spray that. And we're going to go pretty heavy with flour on top as well. And now we're just sort of going to shape him into a, it doesn't have to be too pretty, and just sort of a squarish kind of shape. Now you've got to be a bit careful here, get plenty of flour on your hands. As I said, you want to keep as much of this gas in as you can, so nice and quick and gentle onto your tray. And now we're going to do the final proving stage. So again, what we usually do, we boil our kettle, fill up the bread tin, put it underneath, oven's off, and let that prove. We'll give that about an hour or so. You can feel that's still a little bit firm. I'll come back in about an hour, we'll have a look. Could take 2 hours, I'm not 100% sure, but we'll leave it for at least an hour and then we'll come back and check on him, and then I'll let you know how much further we've got to go. All right, welcome back. So it's been just over an hour. You can see it's gotten quite big. It's probably doubled in size. It's not necessarily that high. Now at this stage, you've got to be very, very careful and gentle with it. All right. So we're going to bake it at about 210 in my oven. I don't have a fan in my oven, so about 210. The idea of ciabatta is to bake it quickly. Don't go too extreme and try and burn it before it's cooked in the guts, but ciabatta loaf, you bake, normally in the bakery, you bake it at 250 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes. In my oven, I reckon about 210, probably 20 minutes it'll be done. So I'll check it out, I'll chuck it in, and we'll see how we go. And we'll cut it open and I'll show you the inside. What we're looking for is big holes in it once we cut it open, but we'll come back in about 20 minutes and we'll have a look. All right, so here she is. It took about 20 minutes. Once I finished, I turned the oven off and left the door open, let it dry out a bit. That's what you want, nice crust. Now I admit it's not the most prettiest loaf of bread in the world, but I can guarantee you it's going to be one of the tastiest you'll ever eat. It is magnificent, this stuff. And as I said, what we're after is a very open crumb. So I want it really light in the middle. See these nice big holes here? This is what we want. You can see on the other end as well. These big holes. It's absolutely beautiful bread. So anyway, that's it. Give it a go. Any questions, leave them in the comments, and yeah, I guarantee you'll like it. If you want it to come a little bit higher, when you go to put it on the tray, just tuck him in a bit so it comes up higher rather than a bit footed. I don't mind it like this, so I'm happy with that. But I guarantee it will be one of the nicest breads you'll ever eat. So give it a go.